in today and share a little information with everybody and to the public, mostly to people in this sector. And the misinformation is so rampant over here to it getting to be sickening. Well, it's been going on, but you got people that won't take time out to do no kind of research, and it's what I be talking about mostly in the black community. How how you have people walking around in the community just basically giving people misinformation all the time. And it's another thing here. This is for you, Gates. Now, Carrie did give. I got a little bit of information from Carrie live last night. One of her many lives, and Carrie did quite a couple lives yesterday. But do shout out to Carrie. I'm not playing any of your information, Carrie. I'm just gonna pull everything from the dome and talk about a few things. And as I said before, people, just giving misinformation. You had a person on your panel last night that was basically giving out misinformation. As you talked about different topics, you talked about the fraud that's going on in Minnesota and with the Somalians that's going on in Minnesota and other states that they are mostly in, Minnesota and Ohio, and also the state of Maine. I know they're in other places as well, but these things are researched and they're documented that these people are committing fraud. And you had an individual on your show last night saying that nobody's been arrested, and that's just not true. You know, they just recently sentenced a guy last week, 28 years that he's got to do for the Medicaid fraud, a Somalian guy, 28 years. Also, he's got to face the charges of witness tampering. He tried to tamper with a witness and trying to get a witness to say, a jury witness, a jury member to say that, to side with him. Now, they didn't get into the specifics of it and break it all down, but that was spoke on. So he's got to face that. That'll be additional time added to him. So, but just to hear people get up and say these kind of things and just speak on stuff and talk about things that they don't know nothing about. If you just take time to do a little research, and you'll see that, yes, a lot of people have been arrested. Some are yet to be charged. Some are going ahead and taking plea deals for this situation. And things are moving along. Now, being that this fraud scheme was so rampant and so big, yeah, some people might get away. There's a possibility some people are gonna float on the radar, and the government may just run out of time and not be able to convict them and not be able to bring charges on them. I don't know. It's a possibility of that happening. But to get up and say that nothing has happened to these people, nobody is being charged, nobody being convicted, is not true. This is what I'm saying about giving out all this misinformation amongst the people. Just talk about things you know nothing about. It's sickening and it's saddening. But yes, there are people have been convicted and also some is people are going to jail. But you gotta take my word for it. Kip don't know what he's talking about. I'll let you hear for yourself.
only major development in court.
Y'all let me know if
Turns
y'all
out
can hear
the
this or not.
$250 million estimate is only a drop in the bucket to what the fraud cost the taxpayers. Lou Raguse lays it all out for us.
As the ringleader in a group that stole nearly $50 million and the mastermind behind the plot to bribe a juror in his trial, 36-year-old Abdulaziz Farah is one of the most prolific fraudsters in the Feeding Our Future case.
Yeah, he's one of the worst for several factors.
Acting U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson says Farah was one of the very first people to begin defrauding taxpayers during the pandemic, recruiting others, and claiming to serve 18 million meals to children. At first, out of his tiny Empire Cuisine and Market in Shakopee.
Now, give a shout out to Living Queen. Hello, Living Queen. Good morning to you. I'm not gonna be here long, but I was just playing a 2-minute insert, and I'm gonna let it play a little bit longer, and they're gonna tell you exactly, how much time this guy got, what he pled guilty to, and things of that nature. And as of now, they have, at least 78 people being charged with that, with this fraud scale. And if people get up and say that, give misinformation out to the public all the time, that, ain't nothing happened. This is what I'm saying, man. Without any research, without doing anything, just say things that's not true. But, let us continue with this.
Eventually making more absurd claims, such as serving kids in big open fields to the tune of nearly $50 million.
People in this case not only took tens of millions of dollars, but laundered much of it abroad and sent much of it to Kenya, among other things. They were building an entire apartment building in Nairobi.
The feds can't get back the cash Farah sent or the property he bought in Kenya, but they did seize 5 luxury cars and all the U.S. property he bought, including lots on Prior Lake, where he planned to build a multi-million-dollar home. At his sentencing hearing, Farah apologized for trying to bribe one of his jurors, saying he panicked, but he said nothing of his role in the fraud scheme.
The sense I got was he's sorry he got caught.
Now you guys can hear that this one of these guys, he was the mastermind. He was one of the masterminds of this fraud here, of this theft ring. So he's gotten 28 years in prison. But you have people set up and say that nobody's been charged. Amazing, amazing, amazing. The things that people let come out their mouth. And they try to be these so-called community leaders and try to inform the people and things of that nature. Always giving out misinformation. But shout out to Carrie. Carrie, you did have a pretty decent show towards the end of that show. I caught it on replay, and I thought I'd get up and expound on it a little bit, and let our just remind our people that some people get up and talk. They don't be knowing what they be talking about sometimes. They just be running off at the mouth. But we're gonna let this continue though a little bit. And it's coming to the end.
Judge Nancy Brazel sentenced Farah to 28 years in prison, the longest sentence so far among the pandemic meal fraud suspects. And afterwards, Thompson updated the scope of the overall loss of taxpayer money.
So the $50 million that they took, most of that's in addition to the $250 million that's commonly cited as the total loss amount in this case. So the total loss in this case is well in excess of $300 million and possibly in excess of $400 million.
Now, the reason for that, the $250 million number accounts for the fraud that was run through the nonprofit sponsor called Feeding Our Future. But Farah's group worked with a different sponsor called Partners in Nutrition. No one from Partners has been charged yet. Thompson says they're still investigating. Farah still needs to be sentenced for the juror bribe, which will likely add more years to his 28-year sentence. Rena.
All right. Now you guys heard that for yourself. That not only that these people here, that they have people that has been convicted. Have been charged. Some of these people are pleading out, and he's got other cases that's pending against him. So I just giving all this misinformation out. that the government is arresting people, charging people, and also these people here are pleading out. So I don't get that misinformation no more. Take that misinformation from people who just getting up, just talking and running off at the mouth, don't know what they're talking about. But good show. Carrie talked on a little bit of that last night, so that was a pretty good show. So I mean, I for one, I followed this fraud that's going around here and dealing with these Somalians and things like that. And I was listening to your show, Carrie, last night. Yes, these illegal immigrants, they do hurt the economy. They hurt the economy bad. Because we as Americans, we're not going to get out here and work for little nothing. We're not going to be working for under wages, working for slave wages. We're not going to do that. So those people do need to be uprooted out of here. Those that don't belong here, they need to go. You're illegal, you need to go back to where you came from and try to come back and do things the right way. So I just found it to be very interesting last night. And another thing, you know, I was listening as well to your show, and people over here talking about real estate, things like that, and all of this kind of stuff. Like I say, being misinformed about a lot of stuff. Anybody who's went through the process of buying a home, you would know the things you can do and things you can't do, what to expect and what not to expect. So, I mean, there's various ways that you can get out here and actually buy a home. Various ways. So there's no really one set way of really buying a home. But I just listen to people and I just let them talk. You know, and sometimes they don't know what they be talking about. So, you know, but yeah, there's a lot of help out there for especially people who's first time home buyers. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of help for us with down payment assistance, you name it, is out there. And for those that didn't know, when you are a first-time home buyer, you know, you can become a first-time home buyer again, but you do have to be not bought a home for the past 7 years. And you can qualify again for being a first-time home buyer. People didn't know that. Some people may have known, some may have not. So there is a lot of different things out here for, especially when the government is trying to build up certain counties, certain towns. That's especially towns that's basically unincorporated, and they're trying to build those towns up. So you do get all kinds of breaks because they're trying to build that area up. So you would get in and get a home for, you know, less than what it may sell for if the area is heavily populated. So that's the thing about sometimes people get there. The first to get there is normally the people that benefit the most from getting in areas that pretty much unincorporated. Like I said, they just want people there so they can get the population up in those areas. So that's why you go in, you know, well, if you're doing it, if you're buying a home the basic traditional way, you know, your loan officer may let you know that, hey, there's a lot of different it's a lot of different programs out here for first-time home buyers, especially if you have children, minor children. There's different programs, a whole lot of programs that make you make can fall up under and get a lot of down payment assistance to this, and allow you to get into the home for basically, you know, little money out of your pocket. But it just take research and having a good understanding and surrounding yourself with good people who's going to tell you something that makes sense. But my thing is always to inform, not misinform, not do guesswork, not do anything like that. Tell you, either sharing my experience with you or sharing others' experiences with you that who's gone through certain things. That's why I always ask questions when I'm out and about, because I don't be about this foolishness all the time. When I'm out and I'm talking to friends and families, colleagues, things like that, they say certain things, and my next thing is, well, how did you do that? How did you do that? How did you get it for this? How did you do that? Not sit around here and listen to all this pseudo shit in the neighborhood. That'd be most of our problem, dealing with black people. No, half of them don't want to research shit. They get people in the neighborhood telling them bullshit, who had never experienced nothing in life, who have never pretty much purchased shit in life. But they got all the answers. They got all the questions. They know everything. And you ask them what they have done, basically nothing. But they know everything. Giving you all that misinformation. And that shit is past now. That cripples the neighborhood. And I keep the neighborhood from growing. See, wise people always turn and ask questions. That's how you know. Not thinking, having a mind, here it is 2026, and you have a mindset back in 1970 or 1980. Tell me, how could you grow and how could you function? And you got a mindset stuck in that time warp. No way can you move. But you have them out here trying to, direct and tell you things. Get out of here with that. That's stupid. Doesn't make any sense. I know I'm gonna get critique for this. I mean, that's fine, and I have no problem with that. Well, my whole thing is this: it's the misinformation. It's the misinformation that is constantly being given to our people with foolishness. And those that try to rise above it, who get out here and do well with themselves, and I'm basically talking about black people. They get criticized as being an Uncle Tom, get all kinds of derogatory names thrown at them for no reason, because they want to be better and learn better and do better. Now get out here and create laws in the neighborhood like most idiots do, but respect the laws of the land that is made by your state laws, laws that are made in Washington, D.C., that respects that and know how to maneuver through that, not that pseudo shit. And I think that's what a lot of people in the neighborhood is really crippling it. Our community, and keeping them from moving forward. Because everything in this country here, you let them tell it, is bad for black people. I just want to enlighten you on something, tell you something. This is my country. I am proud to be an American, in spite of all the BS that goes along, that comes along with this. Racism, yeah, I know that exists out here. All the bullshit. But this is no other place I want to be. This is my country. I'm not looking to go nowhere else and claim shit else. But right here in the great old US of A. And learn to maneuver and make things work for myself and try to teach others the same thing. But I think it's time for us as really as black people. And I'm just giving a little segment with this because most other people that comes here, I would say some do embrace, some don't assimilate always, but they know their mission, what they're coming here for, and they try to do what they have to do to make things work for them. And they don't get caught up in a whole lot of this old pseudoism shit, like our people do, because we get caught up sometimes still talking about what happened back in 1948. Like I say, history is great. I mean, history is a wonderful thing. But also time has changed. New laws has been presented. So I just found it to be very interesting, you know. People coming up saying the things that they're saying, and they don't have a clear understanding of what's going on. Nothing but purely speculation and shit like that, and lack of research. So, shout out to Smoke. What's going on, Smoke? I'm just filling them in, Smoke, on this misinformation. What these pseudo people be doing in the neighborhood, spreading all this misinformation around all the time, you know. And the shit is becoming sickening, man. You know. So to get out here, getting out good information, facts, and things like that, nah, they're not gonna do that shit. There's always a key bullshit going on. Blaming the white man for shit and all that. And you know, Smoke, you and I talk a lot about various topics, and we always talk about how illegal immigrants is the enemy of the black man in this country. Because we're not going to sit around and work for no low wages, no slave wages. So that's where, I'm at with a lot of that stuff. And we can think back to, we can go a little bit back in time where I looked over a few things where some of our scholars have said. We can go with W.E.B. Du Bois and compare him to Mr. Carver, and Booker T. I'm sorry, and Booker T. was saying his thing was, and both of them are true. He was saying pick up and do all the things that need to be done, like trash, carrying out the trash, all the skilled jobs, the skilled labor jobs. He talked about that. But W.E.B. Du Bois said, well, like, no, fuck that. Let's focus on creating the jobs. Let's focus on being the CEOs. But if you look at it, they both are right. Because you're going to have your CEOs who create jobs, but you're also going to need somebody to carry out the labor part of it. So I look at both of them. I look at both of it, as being, yeah, they all need it, you know. See, stuff goes together, man, like a hand in a glove. But I just thought I'd get up and, mention a few things about that. And like I say, about the misinformation that we're getting from our people. Some of our people in the neighborhoods is spreading bad information out here. It's not cool. So, but as I speak a lot, and talk a lot, especially when I'm talking to people face to face or maybe people close to me, our best and brightest never need to be overlooked. And when I say our best and brightest, meaning like those that have intelligence, know how to use it, that need to be cultivated. See, that's when family members need to rally behind that person and make sure that is properly, that intelligence is properly cultivated in the right way. And that person should be sent to school for a certain reason and a certain purpose. And need all the financial backing that he or she can get, so they can focus on what need to be focused on. Doesn't matter if that's your biological child. It could be your cousin, could be a niece, could be a nephew, or whatever. But that person need to be rallied around and make sure that person going to school for a specific reason, and need to be looked at and backed up financially, because that's an asset to the family. I mean, this is how things are built. This is how dynasties are built. Now, I'm not saying that I know everything, or claiming that, but I do got an understanding of how things are built. And you build nothing on foolishness. So, should always be reciprocity in everything that you do. So some people in life just they don't look at things like that. They just want to always make withdrawals. But how many deposits have you made? So you can take what I just said about putting the best and the brightest in there. You're making deposits with that person. Later on, maybe directly you, but maybe someone in the family later on, or maybe down the line, can get the withdrawal effects from that and serve them well. I'm not going to say all of us don't look at things like that. A lot of us do look at things like that. like I say, this is not meant for everybody to catch on to and things like that. It's not meant to, because a lot of people just so embedded in a lot of foolishness, and all they understand is somebody yelling and screaming that you can't hardly understand what they're saying half of the time on the live, and then they walk away and say, "Oh, that was a fire live," but you can't hardly can't hardly play back nothing and understand shit that they said if you ask them that. Well, what did he say? Or what did she say? Or they just was yelling at each other back and forth. That shit was fire as hell. But you don't understand shit that they said. So I know this is definitely gonna be like taboo. Talking when you up here talking with some sense. So there you have it, Gates. Your brother was mentioned last night, and I think your brother is an intelligent man. Unlike other people think may not see it that way. I think he's an intelligent man. But I think he's understanding where he's at when he comes to where he's at, and you don't get a chance to display that like that. Get on that kind of level. Some people may not understand that. Then again, some may understand it, but just don't want to hear it. That's the shit I be talking about. The dumbing down process. I don't want to be involved with that every day. I'm quite sure we can get up and have a lot of intelligent conversation. I don't care if it's just two in the chat. Speak on what you got to speak on. Say what you got to say. Got that, Gates? Don't worry about the numbers. So speak on your business, man. Speak on the things that you got planned that you want to do, if you choose to. Get out and speak on intelligent conversations. Now I'm looking at maybe 8 people in the chat. What do I care? I'm just speaking on what I heard from last night. And I found it to be interesting, so I said, well, let me speak on this a little bit. It don't have to make sense to nobody else. It only need to make sense to me. Those may not get it now. Maybe they'll get it later, or maybe they'll never get it. Now I do want to get in and talk a little bit about my live that I did yesterday. Now everybody, I tell you, man, I don't understand people. How they can simply take things and try to twist it and make it be out to be bullshit. I never said one time that I doxed Corey. I never said that one time. He got up and said that he would put my information out. Nobody said one time, man, what do you mean his information? But now, when I talked about him not being Pyru, your paperwork don't say that. That comes through a series of conversations that him and I had. I had looked up shit on this man. Why do I need to do that? That's why I was saying, you ain't never been to prison. You ain't never done no hell of a shit out here to be considered no Pyru. I tried to break it down and say, well, what do we consider when we hear about gang members? We hear about violence, crime. Sometimes incarceration. Whether it's on the county level, state level, or federal level. That's what people consider when we hear about gang members. So that's what I was trying to break down. But nah, what I want to dox this man for? For what? But that's what you Negroes want to take and run when I say the things that I say. You're gonna hear the shit that you want to hear. But you clearly heard that man say, nigga, I put all your shit out there. No, no, but never associate him with doxing. And I simply said, your paperwork don't match you being in no Pyru. And I simply said, you gonna put my shit out there, put your shit out there, and then we can compare. You niggas gonna always take some shit and try to twist it to fit your narratives and fit your goddamn crazy ass thinking. But nobody docs no cool. I'm just sitting back laughing. I'm looking at the shit in the chat. People saying, I'm like, man, this is crazy. But I'm not here to convince nobody. I'm not here to do anything like that. I thought I'd come back up and try to clear that up, say that, and but you know, people still gonna be at the end of the day talking their shit, looking at it the way they want to look at it, and what have you, which is cool. Now, why I keep doing a live that's so early in the morning? What are you doing a live so early for? What's the fucking difference between doing a live early in the morning, midday, or evening? I felt like I goddamn wanted to say something, speak on some shit. So, don't matter what time. I don't get caught up in that. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning. If I some shit I feel like I want to talk about it, I talk about that shit. Because I got a bunch of thoughts going through my mind at one time. That's why sometimes I have to pull over, write it down, or talk about it and record my thoughts, so I can come back later and be able to talk about that. Because those thoughts will be lost so fast, just as quick as they came in, they'll go back out, and you may not be able to recall that until maybe 2-3 days later or longer. Then you be like, oh fuck it, shit, it just come back to me. And I don't want to talk about it now. I want to talk about something else now. I'm quite sure we all probably have experienced something to that effect. But like I say, for those that want to still around with that bullshit, have at it. Because it's nothing that I won't get up here and flat out stand on what if I done something, I will stand on and say, yeah, I did it. If I tell you I didn't dox you, if I didn't dox you, I didn't dox you. I didn't look you up. I didn't do anything like that. Trust and believe I didn't do it. So, but I thought I'd come in and see a few things, and I'm on. I know it's early over here on the East Coast, so I know it put people in Central Time Zone, Mountain, and Pacific Time Zone. Shit, I know it's real early over there to you guys. So maybe you guys will catch this replay. But I'm getting ready to wrap it up here. I've been on here for like 40 minutes. And that's a little bit too long for me right there. So getting ready to have me some coffee and maybe some eggs and toast, and get ready to move around a little bit. But I'm gonna stick a pin in it for right now, and I'm gonna move forward. You good people take care of Living Queen. Smoke. Appreciate you guys taking time out to come listen to me ramble once again. And at the end of the day, I hope something was something positive can be taken out of this. And I understand if you don't get nothing else, stop spreading misinformation. Get to the facts before you speak on things. It'll serve you better, and it'll serve the people better that you're talking to. That's my whole thing. You guys take care. To be continued.